She handed the nurse 145,000, every naira she had saved for 3 months of rent, for a woman whose name she didn't even know yet. She didn't ask to be thanked. She didn't ask for a number to call. She picked up her empty bag, walked back to her shop, and started calculating how she would explain to her landlord that she needed more time. What she didn't see, the black car parked at the corner that hadn't moved in 4 days. What she didn't know, the woman whose hospital bill she had just paid was not a stranger. She was the mother of the man inside that car. And he had put her there, in that market, on that Wednesday, near that shop, specifically to see what Chisom Okafor would do when no one was watching. She passed. She passed the way very few people pass. And now he had a problem, because the people around her were about to make sure she had nothing left worth protecting. Stay with us. The first thing you noticed about Chisom Okafor's shop was the smell. Not perfume, not chemicals, though there was plenty of that. It was the smell of effort, the particular warmth of a small room where someone has been working since 5 in the morning without stopping, the heat of a single overhead bulb mixing with the steam of a boiling pressing comb, and the faint sweetness of shea butter. On Oguta Road, just off the main Ogbete market stretch in Enugu, between a woman who sold second-hand shoes and a man who repaired umbrellas, there was a narrow green door. Above it, painted in careful white letters, Chisom's Hair Studio, professional and affordable. It was the kind of sign that a person repaints herself when it starts to fade, which Chisom had done twice in 3 years. She was 28 years old. She had been doing hair since she was 15. Watching her mother work on neighbors' heads in their compound yard, learning the tension required to braid without making someone wince, learning the patience needed when a child would not sit still. When her mother died, 4 years ago now, the anniversary still finding her stomach without warning, Chisom had taken the small inheritance, added it to 2 years of savings, and rented this shop, 12 feet wide, 16 feet deep, 1 salon chair, 1 standing mirror, 1 hooded dryer she had bought second-hand from a woman in Asata who was upgrading. She had 2 regular assistants, young girls from the neighborhood who came on weekends, but on weekdays, it was just Chisom. On this particular Tuesday morning in March, she had woken at 4:30, tied her hair back, and begun her day. Her first client arrived at 6, Mama Kalu, who came every 2 weeks for a wash and set, then a woman getting braided for her niece's wedding on Saturday, then a student from University of Nigeria, Nosuka, who had taken a bus into town specifically for Chisom's work, which meant something. Between clients, Chisom swept the floor, wiped the mirror, sterilized her combs, and checked the small notebook she kept on the windowsill where she recorded her income and expenses in 2 columns, always comparing. The notebook told her the truth she already knew. Rent was due in 11 days. She had 45,000 in a white envelope in her handbag. She needed every naira of it. Just make it through the month, she told herself. Just this month. She did not say this out loud. She did not say it to her clients. She kept her hands moving and her face pleasant and her conversation light, because that was the kind of woman she was. Not because she was pretending, but because she understood that her customers came to her shop for a moment away from their own burdens, and she had no right to add to them. It was mid-morning when her sister Adayeze appeared in the doorway. Adayeze was 32, 3 years older, and had lived in Lagos for 6 years before returning to Enugu when her marriage fell apart. She was not a bad person. Chisom believed this with the patience of someone who has had to believe it many times. But Adayeze had a particular way of entering a room, slightly sideways, as if expecting resistance, eyes already assessing what she could see, before she committed to coming fully through the door. Chisom! She stepped inside, looked at the client in the chair, lowered her voice. I need to talk to you. You can talk. Mrs. Ease doesn't mind. Chisom did not look up from the section she was parting. Privately, the client, Mrs. Ease, very graciously said she needed to check her phone anyway. When she stepped out, Adayeze sat down in the chair near the dryer. She folded her hands. Chisom, Chidi is asking about you. Chisom's hands did not stop. She picked up the rat-tail comb and kept parting. Chidi from where? Chidi Okonkwo. He's doing very well now. He has a transport business. 3 trucks. Adase watched her sister's face. His mother came to see Mama Emeka. They are neighbors now, and she mentioned that Chidi is looking for a wife. a responsible girl, someone who knows how to build. I am not interested in Chidi Okonkwo. You have not even. Adayeze. Chisom set down the comb. She turned around. I remember Chidi Okonkwo. I remember that in secondary school, he told Obiageli that I put love potion in his food because I liked him, and the story followed me for 2 years. I don't care about his 3 trucks. Adase clicked her tongue. That was children's time. People grow. I am sure he has. I have not changed my answer. She knows I cannot afford to be distracted right now. Chisom thought. She knows, and she comes anyway. When Adase left, with the particular tight-lipped expression that meant this conversation was not finished, only postponed, Chisom brought Mrs. Eze back in, resumed the work, and did not think about Chidi Okonkwo again. What she did think about, briefly, was the man. He had come in the day before. Tall, quiet, wearing a plain white kaftan that had the look of an expensive thing being worn casually. He said his name was Emmanuel, and he had come to ask if she could do his sister's hair for a function on Saturday. He described what his sister wanted, a specific updo, quite intricate, and Chisom asked a few questions and said yes, bring her Thursday. He had nodded, paid a deposit without being asked, and left. That was all. But she noticed he had stopped at the green door for a moment after stepping out, looked back at something, she wasn't sure what, before walking away. She did not think about it much. She had work to do. The Ogbete market on a Wednesday was a specific kind of chaos, not the thundering chaos of Saturday, but the steady, purposeful noise of people who had things to sell and things to buy, and not enough hours for both. The main road through the market ran parallel to Chisom Street, separated by a block of stalls, and she could hear it from her shop, the calls of traders, the argument of a woman and a KK driver over 300 naira, the high, distant sound of a radio playing something that had been popular 2 years ago. She was locking up her shop at 12:30, just stepping out to find lunch before her 1 o'clock client, when she heard the commotion. It was not violent. It was the particular sound of a crowd that had suddenly contracted around something, a tightening of voices, a few sharp exclamations. She rounded the corner from her street into the main market row and saw a cluster of people near the fabric section, and on the ground, sitting at an angle against a vegetable stall with her legs straight out in front of her, was an old woman. She was perhaps 70. She wore a blue wrapper and a white blouse, and her market bag had spilled when she fell. Plantains rolling, a bag of agusi open, a small purse that had landed near her knee. The stall owner was looking at her with the expression of someone calculating liability. 2 young men who had been nearby were helping each other decide whether to get involved. A woman with a baby on her back was saying something about blood pressure. The old woman looked up, and her eyes were clear. She was not confused. She was embarrassed and in pain, and she was trying very hard not to show either. "Mama," Chisom said. She was already kneeling. "Are you hurt?" "My ankle." The woman's voice was steady. The crowd pushed. "I couldn't. My ankle." Chisom looked at it. It was already beginning to swell. "Can you put weight on it?" "I don't know. I haven't tried." "Don't try yet." Chisom started gathering the spilled items back into the woman's bag. She did this without being asked, with the same calm she brought to everything. The egusi she folded back into its bag. The plantains she stacked. "Is there someone I can call?" "My son." The woman patted her dress, then her wrapper. "My phone. I had it." "Is this it?" One of the young men handed over a phone he'd picked up from the ground. The woman took it and dialed. It rang for a long time. No answer. "He is probably in a meeting," she said. She said it without blame. "He is always in meetings." "Come," Chisom said. "My shop is just there. Can you try to stand with my help? We'll go slowly." The woman looked at her. There was a moment, Chisom recognized it, where a person decides whether to trust a stranger. The woman nodded. They went slowly. Chisom took most of her weight. The woman was heavier than she looked, as old women often are, as if they have spent their whole lives accumulating something invisible. By the time they reached the green door, Chisom had one arm fully around her and the woman's hand gripping her shoulder. Inside, Chisom sat her in the client chair, the good one, the one with the padding. She filled a basin with cool water and had the woman's foot in it within 5 minutes. She gave her water to drink and a piece of chin-chin from the bag she kept for clients. She pressed gently around the ankle. Not broken, she thought, but painful. "Thank you," the woman said. Her name was Grace. Mama Grace. She said it with the full weight of someone who does not say thank you lightly. "Rest," Chisholm told her. "We will try your son again in a few minutes." The phone rang 3 more times, no answer. On the 4th try, someone picked up, not the son, but a man who said he would pass the message. While they waited, Mama Grace asked about the shop, and Chisholm answered, and they talked the way women do when they are not trying to impress each other. Honestly, without performance. Mama Grace had come to Ogbete to buy ingredients for a family gathering. Her son was bringing people from Lagos. She had not wanted to wait for someone to take her. She was not that kind of woman. "I can see that," Chisholm said. Mama Grace looked at her with the expression of someone filing information. After an hour and 15 minutes, when the ankle was less swollen and Mama Grace felt she could walk with a stick, she prepared to leave. The stall owner from outside, who had apparently been troubled by his conscience, appeared in the doorway with the kike he had flagged down. Mama Grace reached into her purse. "Let me give you something for your time." "No," Chisholm said, simply. "No argument, no performance." "You don't owe me anything, Mama. But you lost your afternoon. Your customers. The ones who couldn't wait will come back. The ones who won't, they were never mine to keep." She smiled. "Go safely." At the door, Mama Grace turned. "What is your full name?" "Chisholm. Chisholm Okafor." The old woman nodded slowly. She left. Chisholm's 1 o'clock client had indeed not waited. She stood in her shop, looked at the empty chair, and did a quiet calculation. That was 450 naira of lost income. Not large, but nothing was small when the rent envelope was exactly what it was. Then she remembered. She had paid the keek driver 200 naira from her own pocket, so Mama Grace wouldn't have to open her purse again in the commotion. She was reaching for the envelope in her handbag to check the remaining total when her next client knocked. She put the envelope back without counting. There was nothing to be gained from counting tonight. What Chisholm did not know, could not know, was that across the street, the man called Emmanuel had been standing at the corner when she came back with Mama Grace. He had watched through the open door of his own hired car as she helped the old woman inside. He had sat very still for a while after, the way a person sits when they have seen something they were not expecting. She paid for the cake, he thought. She didn't announce it, she just paid. He had seen a lot of things in his 34 years. He had watched people perform kindness for cameras, for witnesses, for the approval they thought they needed. This was not that. This woman had paid the kike man and turned back to her shop without looking around to see if anyone noticed. He sat in the car for a long time. His mother did not answer her phone. She was already on her way back to the hotel with Emeka's driver, who had finally reached the market 20 minutes after the incident. He did not know yet that the woman whose ankle she had rested, whose chin-chin she had eaten, whose kindness had cost her 200 naira and an afternoon's income, was the same woman he had been watching for 4 days. He did not know yet, but he was beginning to understand something. Ngozi Uba had the stall directly next door to Chisholm's green door. She sold hair attachments, braiding thread, and the small accessories that women who did hair needed constantly. Pins, nets, edge control, blow-dryer nozzles. It was a sensible business, and in theory, it complemented Chisholm's shop. Customers coming for hair services would often buy supplies from Ngozi. In practice, the relationship was cordial but careful, the way neighbors are when they understand that their interests overlap but do not fully align. Ngozi was 41. She had a husband who drove a government bus and 2 children in school, and a third ambition that she kept mostly hidden. She had been trying for 2 years to expand into renting out the space next to hers and opening a small hair salon herself. The only obstacle was money, and occasionally, Chisholm's presence, which made the space less valuable to a competitor. She was not evil. Chisholm had never thought of her as evil. But on Thursday morning, Cozy came to lean on Chisholm's doorframe in a way that was meant to look casual. "I saw you with that old woman on Wednesday," she said. Chisholm was setting up her station. She looked important. That wrapper she was wearing, that was Hollandaise, not the market kind. "I didn't notice," Chisholm said. This was not true, but it was not information she intended to share. Ngozi watched her for a moment. The man who came in on Monday. Emmanuel, you know who he is. Chisom paused very briefly. He came to book an appointment for his sister. He came back yesterday, Ngozi said. I saw him. He sat in that car across the road for almost 2 hours, just watching. People park on this road. Chisom, Ngozi's voice shifted slightly. It became the voice of a woman sharing privileged information. I googled something, the car. I got the plate number. You know those government plates? His is not government. It's private registration, but I asked Femi, the one who works at Fresk, and that plate is registered to Onwosu Agricultural Holdings. Silence. Do you know that company? Chisom picked up her comb. I know the name. Emeka Nwosu's company. Ngozi said the name carefully, tasting it. The one who exports cassava and palm oil to Europe. He was on TVC last year. His net worth. She paused for effect. They said over 40 billion naira. Chisom said nothing. That can't be right, she thought. Emmanuel is a regular person. He sits like a regular person. But even as she thought it, she remembered the kaftan, the deposit paid without negotiation, the way he had been completely unhurried. I'm telling you, Ngozi said, because we are neighbors. If a man like that is interested in this street for business reasons, it affects all of us. You should be careful. Thank you, Chisom said evenly. I'll keep that in mind. Ngozi left. Chisom stood very still for a moment, then went back to setting up. That afternoon, Emmanuel came back. He sat in the second chair, not the client chair, the waiting chair, while his sister was not with him. He said she had a conflict and would come Friday instead. He asked if Friday was fine. Friday is fine, Chisom said. He nodded. There was a silence that was not uncomfortable. Did the old woman get home safely? He asked. Chisom looked at him. She did. She called me last night to say so. She paused. Her ankle was not broken, just sprained. Good. He looked at his hands. That was kind of you, what you did. It wasn't special, Chisom said. Most people would have walked past, he said. Most people were busy. She shrugged. I was also busy, but I was not so busy that I couldn't stop. He looked at her then, really looked, the way people rarely do in conversation, and she felt a flicker of something she did not immediately name. I have to lock up soon, she said. If there's nothing else, there's nothing else. He stood. I'll bring her Friday. He was at the door when he turned back, as he had before. Chisom. It was the first time he had used her name. I have to tell you something. I don't know how to say it exactly, but I'm not doing well. Financially. I invested in a distribution deal that fell through, and the suppliers are calling in early, and I'm looking at possibly restructuring everything. He said this in a flat, informational tone, as if reading from a document. I wanted you to know, before Friday. She did not answer immediately. Why are you telling me this? She thought. We barely know each other. Why does this feel like it means something? She looked at him steadily. I'm sorry you're going through that, she said. But why are you telling me? He held her gaze for a moment. I'm not sure, he said. I just thought you should know. He left. Chisom stood in the middle of her shop and felt the whole shape of the conversation settle around her, like something she couldn't yet read. She was good at reading people. She had been doing it her whole life, working out, from the way a client sat down, whether they were happy or heartsore, whether they wanted to talk or be left alone. She was good at it. But this man was harder to read. Or maybe, she thought, you don't want to read him. Maybe you already have, and you don't know what to do with the answer. She swept the floor and locked up and told herself not to think about it. She did not entirely succeed. The next morning, Friday, was when things changed. Not in a single moment. In the way of things that are being built, piece by piece, by someone who does not announce their intentions. It began with Ngozi. Chisom arrived at 7 to find her neighbor already outside, talking to 3 women who were the morning clients of the 2 salons down the road. Women who sometimes walked past Chisom's shop, sometimes stopped. She heard her name before she was close enough to fully make out the conversation, and she heard the word involved and the word trouble, and something cold moved through her chest. She did not stop. She walked directly to her door, unlocked it, went inside. 20 minutes later, her first client of the morning, a regular, A teacher named Blessing, who had been coming every 3 weeks for a year, sent a text message. Something came up, we'll reschedule. 2 hours later, a woman Chisholm did not recognize knocked and asked if this was the salon that was having management problems. "Excuse me," Chisholm said. "I heard from the market that the woman who runs this place is involved in a court case. Something about debt." Chisholm's hands were very still. "That is not true." The woman looked uncertain. "I heard." "You heard something that is not true," Chisholm said, politely, firmly. "If you'd like your hair done, I'm here. If not, I wish you a good day." The woman left without coming in. Ngozi. Chisholm knew it, with the certainty of someone who has watched people long enough to recognize their shapes in the dark. She did not have proof. She could not point to a lie and say this specific lie came from this specific mouth, but she knew. What she also knew, she could not confront Ngozi without proof. And even with proof, she could not undo the words already released into the market. Words moved faster in Ogbete than any correction. "She thinks Emmanuel is wealthy," Chisholm thought. "She wants to use me to get to him. And when I didn't give her anything useful, she decided to clear the field." That was the day Emmanuel's sister came. Her name was Obioma, and she was lovely and specific about what she wanted. And for 1 hour and 40 minutes, Chisholm focused entirely on doing excellent work. And the work, as always, was her peace. Obioma looked at herself in the mirror when it was done and said, quietly, "This is beautiful." "You have a beautiful face," Chisholm said. "It helps." She was not looking at the door when Emmanuel came to collect his sister. She heard his voice before she turned. He looked at Obioma, then at Chisholm. "Thank you," he said. "It's my work," Chisholm said. Something in his expression shifted. Very slightly. She caught it, and then it was gone. The following week brought 3 things in quick succession, and each one was heavier than the last. The first was Adaeze. She came on Monday afternoon, and this time she did not pretend it was a casual visit. She sat in the doorway. She had learned not to let herself fully in when Chisholm had clients, and waited until the shop was empty. Then she came inside and sat with her hands folded, and Chisholm recognized the posture. It was the posture their mother had used when she had made a decision and was prepared to defend it. "I spoke to Mama Nena," Adaeze said. Mama Nena was their father's eldest sister, the family authority. "She agrees with me that you are at an age where this needs to be addressed." "What needs to be addressed?" Chisholm said. She was sorting combs. She kept sorting combs. "Your situation." Adaeze's voice was even. "You are 28. You are running a small shop. You are not building anything that will sustain you. Chisholm, I love you, but love is not the same as pretending things are fine when they are not. Chidi has a real business. He has. I know what he has. Then why? Because I don't want Chidi Okonkwo." Adaeze. Chisholm set down the combs. "I don't want someone who was chosen for me. I don't want to be practical. I want to want someone." "Wanting is for girls who can afford to wait," Adaeze said. It was not cruel. It was the kind of thing people say when they are genuinely afraid and cannot express it any other way. "You don't have that kind of time." "She means well," Chisholm thought. "She always means well. It doesn't make this less exhausting." "Adaeze," she said quietly, "I need you to trust me. I do trust you. I just..." "Then trust me with this." She held her sister's eyes. "Please?" Adaeze left without the resolution she had come for. Chisholm stood in the middle of her shop for a moment, alone, and felt the particular loneliness of being someone who is loved by people who cannot quite see her. The second thing was Ngozi. On Wednesday, a woman arrived with her daughter for braiding, mentioned she had heard Chisholm's shop was good but unreliable about appointments, and showed Chisholm a WhatsApp message on her phone. The message was in a market women's group. It was from an unsaved number, but the writing style, the specific rhythm of it, was recognizable. It said, "The small salon on Oguta Road has been taking deposits and not showing up. Be careful with your money there." Chisholm's stomach turned. She had never, not once, taken a deposit and not shown up. Her record for 3 years was without blemish. She had shown up with a fever. She had shown up the day after her mother's burial because she had a client with a wedding and the woman was counting on her. And here was this message, in a group she couldn't access, from a number no one could trace, spreading in the market like oil in water. I promise you, Chisholm said to the woman, that is not true. You can call any client I have ever had, every one. The woman was uncertain, but she left with her daughter. She did not book. I can't fight this, Chisholm realized. I can't fight something I can't see. Ngozi, still no proof. Just the cold certainty of it. The third thing was the hardest. Emmanuel came on Thursday, alone. No sister, no appointment. He sat in the waiting chair, and he looked tired. Not physical tiredness. The specific tiredness of someone carrying a decision they haven't yet made. The restructuring is worse than I thought, he said. Without preamble. I may have to close the Lagos operations entirely. The investors are pulling out. Chisholm was doing a wash and set on a client. She kept her hands moving. I'm sorry, she said. Are you? He looked at her, and there was something strange in it, not unkind, but testing. Not are you sorry, the way someone asks when they think you're being polite. More like, I need to know if you mean it. Yes, she said simply. I am. Most people who know me, he stopped. When things were going well, I had no shortage of people around me. Now I am suddenly very easy to misplace. The client in the chair shifted slightly, the way people do when they are listening carefully while pretending not to. That's the truest thing about money, Chisholm said. She was finishing the set. It tells you exactly who people are. The ones who come for the money, and the ones who come for you. You only find out when the money is gone. She said this without looking at him. She was working. She's not saying it to me, he thought. She's saying it because she believes it. He sat very still. When the client left, they were alone. He stood. Can I ask you something honestly, he said. You can ask, she said. I can't promise I'll answer. If you knew a man was in trouble, real trouble, not small trouble, would it change how you saw him? Chisholm looked at him directly now. She was not soft about it. That depends on what kind of man he was before the trouble, she said. He nodded. Something in his shoulders settled, very slightly, as if a small thing had been confirmed. I should go, he said. You should go, she agreed. Come back when you have time to sit properly. He almost smiled at that. He left. What is this? Chisholm thought, when the door closed. What are you doing, Chisholm? He is a customer, or he was a customer. One appointment. One deposit. He doesn't owe you anything, and you don't owe him anything. She picked up her comb. And yet here you are, caring what he thinks of you. She swept the floor more vigorously than necessary, and told herself to stop. The next morning, Ngozi came to her door. She stood in the doorframe, and this time she was not pretending to be casual. Her posture was different, not hostile, but deliberate. She had something in her hand. A phone, screen facing out. I think you should see this, she said. It was an article. Online, a business news site. The headline was from 2 days ago. Nalsu Agricultural Holdings faces investigation over export license violations. Emeka Nalsu Osu, to appear before regulatory board. Chisholm looked at it. Her expression did not change. If this is the same man, Ngozi said, watching her, then you need to think carefully. A man under investigation. Thank you, Ngozi, Chisholm said. I'm just saying. I know what you're saying. She held her gaze. You're saying that you want me to step away, that you've been watching this situation, and you want me to leave an empty space. Ngozi's eyes flickered. Just briefly. I don't know what you mean, she said. I think you do, Chisholm said. I think you know exactly what I mean, and I think you're disappointed that I'm saying it. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I know about the WhatsApp message in the market group. I don't have proof it was you, but I know the shape of it. Ngozi's face went very still. I am not going to fight you, Chisholm said. I don't have the energy. But I want you to hear me say clearly, what you are doing will not work. And when it comes out, and it will come out, you will have to look at yourself in your own mirror. She stepped back from the door. Have a good day, she said, and closed it. She stood with her back to the door for a long moment. Her hands were completely steady. Good, she thought. Don't shake, not now. Later, when Emmanuel came, and he did come, in the evening, with a tin of biscuits and an apology for taking up her time the day before, she showed him the article. I saw it, he said. Is it true? He met her eyes, The investigation is real. Whether the violations are what they're claiming, I believe they're not. My lawyers believe they're not. But it will take time to prove. She nodded. And you're telling me this because, she said. Because you asked directly, he said. And you deserve a direct answer. She looked at him for a long time. He did not look away. She thought, I have no way to verify this. I cannot call his lawyers. I cannot check the records. All I have is what I observe when I look at this man. What she observed. He did not deflect. He did not reassure. He did not promise things would be fine. He just told her what was true and let her decide what to do with it. Okay, she said. Okay? Okay. She shrugged. People go through things. That doesn't tell me who they are. What tells me who they are is what they do while they're going through it. He looked at her, the way he had been looking at her, with that quality of attention she didn't quite know how to categorize, and said, You are a very unusual person. I have been told, she said, and went back to her work. Emeka Nwosu, Emmanuel, as she knew him, made a phone call on Saturday morning. He made it from his hotel room, standing at the window that looked out over Enugu at 6 in the morning, watching the city come alive in the early light. He called his mother. She answered on the second ring, which meant she was already awake. She came to the hospital, his mother said, before he could say anything. I didn't plan it. I fell in the market. She was there. I know. She paid the Kike driver. Mama Grace's voice was quiet. Did you know she paid the Kike driver? She didn't want me to see. She just did it while I was fixing my wrapper. I know, he said again. Emeka. His mother's voice shifted. I have seen many things. I have met many people. This girl, this is not performance. You understand? This is not someone who knew. She didn't know anything. He was silent. What are you still waiting for? She said. I want to be sure. You have been sure since Wednesday, his mother said. You are waiting for permission. He was quiet for a long time. Come for the Nkemdirim Foundation event on Monday, he said at last. I've confirmed my attendance. I want you there. I will be there, his mother said. And Amika? Don't wait too long. A woman like that doesn't stay where she is not chosen. He closed the call and stood at the window for a while longer. On Monday afternoon, he went to Chisum's shop. He asked her if she would come to an event that evening. A foundation event, he said. The Nkemdirim Foundation was hosting a dinner to celebrate the completion of a new school building they had funded in Enugu. He had 2 tickets. His +1 had cancelled. She looked at him. This is not a business thing, she said. No, he said. She was quiet. I don't have anything appropriate to wear to a foundation event. You will be the most appropriate person there, he said, in whatever you're wearing. She held his gaze for a moment, then she nodded. Let me close at 5. I'll need an hour. The venue was the Presidential Hotel, the ballroom, decorated in white and gold, full of people in lace and agbada, the specific gentle noise of Enugu's successful class gathered in one room. Chisum wore a green Ankara dress she had sewn herself, because her mother had taught her to sew, and because she did not own anything else for occasions like this, and because she saw no point pretending otherwise. She looked beautiful. She did not think about whether she looked beautiful. She walked into the room with Emmanuel beside her and looked at everything with the open curiosity she brought to everything new. They were standing near the entrance when it happened. A man in a navy suit came through the crowd. Large man, 60s, authoritative, the kind of person who parts crowds without trying. He saw Emmanuel and his face changed completely, the way faces do when they see someone they genuinely did not expect. Emeka, the voice carried. Loud, warm, the kind of voice built for rooms. Emeka Nwosu, I heard you were in Enugu, but I didn't believe it. What are you doing hiding in this town? The room did not stop, but the immediate circle of it did. Achisom heard the name, Emeka, not Emmanuel. She heard, Emeka Nwosu. She heard, from somewhere to her left, a woman murmur to her companion, That's Nwosu? The one from TVC? She heard the man in the navy suit say, with enormous goodwill, the biggest agro-export man in Nigeria, and he's standing here like ordinary. Mr. CEO himself. Chisum did not move. The room around her continued its noise. Glasses clinked. Somewhere a woman laughed. The lights of the ballroom were very bright. She stood very still. She felt Emeka, beside her, and she did not look at him. She looked at the man in the navy suit, who was shaking hands with someone she had known as a struggling business person named Emmanuel, and she let the information move through her the way cold water moves through a body. He is not struggling. He never was. He sat in my chair and told me about his failures and watched how I responded. The man in the navy suit moved on into the crowd. The immediate moment dissolved. People returned to their conversations. Chisom turned slowly. Emeka, was looking at her. Not with guilt, not with a prepared speech. He was just looking at her, with the same steady attention he had always given her, waiting. She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was completely level. You came to my shop and sat in my waiting chair and ate the chin-chin I put out for clients. And you were not a client, and you were not struggling, and you sat there and watched me the entire time. She said this not with rage, with the precise weight of someone stating a fact. He said, yes. That's all you're going to say? Not here, he said quietly. Please, not here. I will explain everything, properly. She looked at him for a long moment. Across the room, near the entrance, she saw Ngozi, who had apparently found out about this invitation through some circuit she did not want to trace, who had, somehow, gotten herself through the door in a borrowed dress and was now standing with the careful tension of someone who had come to position themselves and was realizing, by the shift of Chisom's posture, that something had gone wrong with the plan. Their eyes met. Ngozi looked away first. She came here for him, Chisom thought. She came here to be visible, after doing everything she could to make me invisible. She felt something clarify inside her. Not anger exactly. Something colder and more useful. She turned back to Emeka. You said not here, she said. Fine, then after. The room they found was a smaller meeting room off the main corridor, used for the event staff and now empty. Emeka closed the door. He did not sit. He stood with his hands at his sides, which was the posture she had noticed that he used when he was being completely honest. Her name is Grace Nwosu, he said. She is my mother. I sent her to the market on Wednesday knowing you would be there. Knowing that if something happened, if she needed help, you would be near. Chisom was very still. I had been watching your shop for 4 days before that, he said. I watched how you treated your clients. I watched you turn down someone who owed you money without making them feel small about it. I watched you give your chair to an old man who needed to rest his legs. Small things. Things people don't think anyone sees. He paused. I have done this before, he said. Not the same way. But I have tested people before I let them close. I tested Amara, the woman I planned to marry 2 years ago. A fabricated setback. Financial loss. When she thought everything was gone, she packed her things within the week and took my business partner with her. His voice was flat on this, informational. She was gone before the ink was dry. Chisom said nothing. I am not proud of needing proof, he said. I understand it is not fair. I understand that trust is supposed to be a choice, not a test. But I don't know how to trust without first knowing what I'm trusting. He looked at her directly. And I know that doesn't excuse it. She was quiet for a moment. Your mother, she said. She could have been genuinely hurt. Yes. You arranged for her to be in a crowded market on a Wednesday afternoon, where people get pushed, where the ground is uneven. Yes. He did not flinch from this. She agreed. My mother is not a woman who does things she doesn't want to do. I told her what I wanted. She said yes, but the ankle was real. She was genuinely hurt. And you still didn't come out of the car. No. She processed this. He let his mother sit on the ground in the market, she thought. He let her wait 40 minutes for a driver while she was in pain, because he needed to see what I would do. Emeka, she said his real name for the first time. I am going to tell you something honestly. Please, he said. What you did, using your mother, constructing a situation, that is not something I can say I admire. She held his gaze. And the investigation, the Emmanuel story, you gave me partial truths wrapped in false packaging, and you asked me to be genuine, inside something that was not genuine. That is not fair. I know. You could have trusted me with the truth, she said. You had enough information after the first week. You knew what I was. He was quiet. Then, I'm sorry. I don't say that because you expect it. I say it because it is true. I handled this badly. I have always handled this badly. She looked at him. My mother, she said. What did she say? About me. He almost smiled. She said, don't wait too long. A woman like that doesn't stay where she is not chosen. Chisholm's expression shifted, very slightly, somewhere around the eyes. She also said, he continued, that you paid the keek driver without wanting her to see you do it. She said she saw in your reflection in the shop window. Chisholm looked at him for a long time. He stood there and let her look. He is real, she thought. He is, somehow, under all of this, a real person. Broken in specific places. Careful in ways that have cost him, but real. I need you to understand something, she said finally. I am a woman who runs a small shop. I have worked for everything I have. I don't want to be managed. I don't want to be watched. And I will not be tested again. I know, he said. If you want to know me, she said, you have to be with me. Actually with me. Not watching from across the road. I know, he said again. Then say that clearly, she said. Don't perform it. Say what you mean. He looked at her. I want to know you, he said. I want to be with you. Not watching. With you. If you will let me. She was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Once, slowly. The way she agreed to things she had thought through carefully. Then we will start from here, she said, from the truth. He reached into his jacket pocket and brought something out. A small envelope. He held it without opening it. Before we leave this room, he said, I need to tell you something else. She waited. The rent, he said. Your landlord. I spoke to him. Chisholm went very still. His name is Mr. Eze, Emeka said. He is currently 3 months behind on the property taxes on the building your shop is in. I bought those taxes. I own the debt, and I have instructed him that the rent for your shop, not just this month, but going forward, will be handled. She looked at him. That is, she started. It's not charity, he said quickly. I'm not. He paused. I owe you the rent for this month. The end 45,000. You paid my mother's hospital bill. You didn't know who she was. You paid it with money you needed. Chisholm stood very still. She told me, he said. She knew the envelope. She could tell from your face when you took it out. She knew what it cost you. Chisholm's jaw was tight. Not with anger, with the specific emotion of being seen by someone. Fully, completely, without having performed for it. That's mine to give, she said after a moment. You don't have to. I know I don't have to, he said. That's why I'm doing it. She looked at him for a long time. Then slowly she laughed. Just once. A short, surprised sound, like something released from somewhere she'd been holding it. You are a complicated man, she said. I know, he said. I am working on that. Drone 4. Act 7. The ending that was always honest. The events of the following week moved in the particular way of things that have already been decided. Quickly, without drama, one stone at a time. Ngozi Uba discovered, through the market network she had used so effectively, that the whisper campaign she had launched had been traced. The origin of the WhatsApp message was identified, not by Chisholm, who had no interest in revenge, but by a market association elder who had been watching with concern. Ngozi was asked, formally, to appear before the Women's Association. She did not have to be removed from her stall. She removed herself, quietly, within the month, found a different location, across town. The stall next to Chisholm's green door was empty for 3 weeks, before a young man took it to sell phone accessories. He was polite and had no interest in Chisholm's business, which was all she required. Adayeze, when she found out about Emeka Nwosu, had an afternoon of complicated feelings. The specific humbling that comes when you have been pushing your sister toward the wrong path while the right one found her anyway. She came to the shop and sat in the client chair and was quiet for a while. I'm sorry, she said eventually. I didn't trust you. You trusted what you could see, Chisholm said. She was braiding a client's hair. You couldn't see the rest. Do you love him? Adayeze asked. Chisum thought about this seriously, the way she thought about all serious questions. I am beginning to, she said, which is honest. Adayeze nodded. For her, this was enough. Mama Grace came to the shop 3 weeks later, on her own, perfectly mobile, no ankle trouble, and sat in the client chair and asked Chisum to do her hair. I want something beautiful, she said. Sit down, Chisum said. I'll take care of you. While she worked, Mama Grace told her, without being asked, about Emeka's father, a man who had worked himself into illness providing for his family, who had trusted a business partner who had taken everything, who had died before he recovered what was his. She told her how Emeka had rebuilt everything from almost nothing, starting at 22, working until his body forgot what rest felt like. She told her about Amara, with the careful precision of a mother who is not asking for sympathy, just offering context. He is a good man, Mama Grace said. He just doesn't know how to believe in good things. I know, Chisum said. I'm teaching him. Mama Grace looked at her in the mirror. Good, she said. It's about time. It was a Saturday in April, 5 weeks after the presidential hotel, when Emeka asked her. They were sitting in Chisum's shop after closing, which had become a particular habit. She would close, sweep, turn off most of the lights, and he would come with something to eat, and they would sit in the half-dark and talk. They talked the way people do when they are learning each other, carefully, and then less carefully, and then with the kind of ease that surprises you. He had brought suya and groundnuts and a bottle of Maltina, and they were sitting on the shop stools she'd placed near the door so they could feel the evening air. He said, Chisum. She said, I want to build something with you. He said, not for you, not around you, with you. I mean that specifically. She was looking out at the evening street. I know you mean it specifically, she said. I want to marry you, he said. No ceremony in it, just truth. She turned to look at him. Not yet, she said. He blinked. I need to know you better, she said calmly. Not because I doubt you, because I don't do things I haven't thought through. I have been thinking this through, and I need more time. He looked at her, and slowly, with the particular expression of a man who has been surprised by the right thing, he smiled. How much time? He said. I'll tell you when I know, she said. He laughed, a real laugh, short and warm. Fair enough, he said. But, she said, picking up her Maltina, I want you to ask me again. When I'm ready. Ask me again. I will ask you every year until you say yes, he said. Let's hope it doesn't take that long, she said. He leaned over and placed, very carefully, a small kiss on her temple. She let him. The evening continued around them, the distant radio, the sound of Enugu settling into night, and they sat in the half-dark of the green door and were exactly where they were supposed to be. My dear friends, my beloved listeners, stay with us a moment longer. The world will tell you that a woman like Chisum is naive, that kindness without calculation is weakness, that to give your last envelope to a stranger is foolishness. But the world forgets something important. It forgets that the things done in the dark, the quiet acts, the unphotographed kindness, the money paid so that no one sees, these are the things that build a life. Not the performances, not the noise. Chisum did not help Mama Grace because she expected anything in return. She helped her because that was who she was. And who you are, my friends, it cannot be hidden, not by distance, not by time, not by the people who try to speak it into something smaller. It will be seen, it will be found, and it will be rewarded, not because kindness is a transaction, but because the universe, in its deep and patient accounting, does not waste goodness. If you have been blessed by this story, share it. Leave a comment. Let us know that you stayed with us. And if there is someone in your life who gives quietly, who sacrifices without announcement, tell them today that you see them, because someone always does. Good night, beloved. Go well.